Right, hello, my name's Fraser and today I'm going to be taking a wheel off this golf buggy to show I can do something mechanical. So firstly, for safety reasons, so the golf buggy doesn't roll when I do this, I'm going to put these stands like in front and behind of the back wheel so it doesn't roll. You have to make sure it gets in there so it doesn't roll. Right, and one at the front as well. There we go. Can't roll. Next, I'm going to loosen the bolts of the wheel before I jack it up. Not too loose so the wheel comes off, just loose enough so it has some leeway. And that's all the bolts loosened up. Next, we're going to get the jack. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to get an apron slab so it's flat when I put the jack up. Something flat for the jack to rest on. I'm going to place it underneath, close at the front wheel so it lifts up the front wheel. And there's a little slot under here where I place these gaps into so it doesn't slide off. And then I'm going to tighten it, lift it up first with my hands, just to make sure I get in that gap. And there, I've hit it. So once you feel a little bit of pressure, you take the handle, put it in, and you start lifting it up. Just enough so the front wheel is just off the ground. Next, gonna get the, what's it called? I don't know what it's called, but we're gonna take all the bolts off. Gonna spin the wheel because it's easier than just turning. And when the bolt gets loose enough, just use your fingers to take them off. Got 2 more bolts to take off. And last one. And all the bolts off, you can just slide the wheel off. So if there was any wear and tear or any damage or any punctures on this wheel, we'd obviously take the tyre off and replace it. There is some wear and tear on this, but it's fine just for now. So it's alright just to go straight back on. So we can go ahead and put it back on. So as you see, there's 4 holes for each bolt to go through, and then there's a big hole in the middle to put on the axle. So it should just slide on like that. And then when we put the bolts back on, you can see there's a shoulder on this edge of the bolt. You can see there's a little bit of wear on it, which means this is the part that goes on it like this, not this flat part here. So we'll do little screws on with our fingers first. And then when we put the second bolt on, we need to put it in front of it, so opposite it, to equal out the pressure of the tyre on it, so it doesn't fall off, or just so it's easier to screw in. And then we'll do this one. And the last one, which is also opposite. And then we can go ahead and tighten them again, going one bolt and then the one opposite it. You need to tighten it to the manufacturer's tightening, so like every wheel or bolt has a different manufacturer, so you need to tighten it to their standards, so they're like it's not too loose or it's too tight, it might damage the wheel. So we'll go with the opposite one, and then we'll tighten that one next. And then again, we'll go to the one next to it. Make sure that one's tight enough. And then again, we'll go opposite. And there we go. So what we'll do now is we'll take the jack down. So we first need to get the handle. And safely unscrew it so the wheel is back on the floor. And then again, we can loosen it with our fingers. And we can take it out. And then once the wheel's on the floor, we'll tighten the bolts even more. And that is how you change the wheel on a golf buggy. For the second part of my video, I'm going to be naming a few things around the golf buggy's engine, and I'm also going to be telling you some similarities between an engine of a HGV and the engine of this golf buggy. So firstly, this is where the engine is. We have lots of things on this engine. We'll have the fuel capsule, you could say, the conveyor belt and the battery. So just about every vehicle has these three things. They are very important. There's some similarities between this Golf Buggy engine and HEV engine, particularly the conveyor belt. They both use friction and combust energy and fuels into rotational energy, which is what rotates this device here. And a demonstration: when you press the accelerator, it spins, which is how the engine goes. Rotational energy there. So some particular parts about this engine, it has its hazards, as does every other engine. So the belt creates friction, which creates heat, which is very dangerous because the fuel can be ignited by the heat, and the chemicals in the battery could also ignite and possibly blow up, which would cause major injury. And entanglement in the belt, especially when it's not protected like this one, is very common. There's a few cases of it. It can be very dangerous. As I was saying, some of these engines, the similarities between HGVs is very, very vague, but there is lots of similarities, as both Golf Buggies and HGVs primarily utilize internal combustion engines, which I've said before, because they both combust heat and fuel into the rotational energy. Some Golf Buggies are now electric though, so it's pretty rare now to find the similarities. Both these engines use the controlled burning of fuel to create energy and move pistons, which in turn turn the wheels. They also have a similarity in power generation. The basic principle of power generation is the same. Expanding gases from combustion create force that is transferred through connecting rods and crankshafts to generate motion. Both types of engine use fuel tanks, as I've said, fuel lines and fuel pumps to deliver the fuel to the combustion chamber. And also, both engines rely on similar components like, as I've said, crankshafts, pistons, connecting rods and valves to convert the energy from fuel combustion into rotational motion. Right, so now we've done the wheel and we've talked a bit about the engine. We're going to take it for a little test drive and I'm going to show you how everything works. So, firstly, this is your parking brake that's already on. You've got your accelerator here. Once you press it, the parking brake lifts. So this is obviously to go forward. You go a little bit forward, and then this is the brake. And then you have to press the top to put the parking brake on. So there's also another part, which is this toggle here. You put it to the side, starts beeping, and you're in reverse. You push it back, you go back forward. And this is obviously the steering wheel, which turns the axle, which is in the middle of the wheels, and it's on a little pivot device on each wheel, which turns it enough. So there's also a lock when you go too far, as you can see there. And let's give it a drive. Brake and slowly turn the steering wheel. turn it that way so we know the wheel's alright. And then we're going to turn the other way when we get up here to know if that wheel is actually put on correctly. But we'll go slowly just in case it's not. As you can see, the wheel is moving fine. Thank you very much for watching this video, and yeah.